When I was 5 years old, my grandparents got me my first pony, Chief. He was white with black spots, mangy, and very ugly. I thought he was the most beautiful and majestic animal in the world. I was anxious to ride him, so the minute he got to our house, I dragged my grandpa out in the blizzard. He saddled my pony for me and set me on his back. Chief proceeded to buck me off face first into the snow. My grandpa peeled my heartbroken shell of a person out of the snow, put my horse away, and took me inside. I convinced myself that Chief bucked me off because he didn't like the weather. Making excuses for my horses has since become a trait of mine. I rode him a few more times with my grandpa leading me, and was confident I was ready for big things. This pony and I were going places. My grandparents found a local trainer and were prepared to get me some lessons. The first lesson started really well. Until Chief put his nose on the ground, I lost my reins, and he rolled on me. I was devastated. I loved him so much. How could he do that to me? There again, my grandpa took me home, bruised and sad, and patched me up. It took my grandparents several months to convince me to get back on my pony. If you haven't already noticed, my success is a pattern of getting hurt and discouraged and getting picked up by my family. Eventually, I was able to ride Chief with minimum success. At the age of 12, I determined that I had grown too big for my pony, and I got tired of showing. This was around the same time that I had discovered barrel racing. My grandparents had two mares, Hooker and Mary Jane, which they bred and foaled so they could raise colts. This may seem off subject, but it is a very big part of my story. After Mary Jane had her first baby and they were separated, my grandparents said I could start barrel racing lessons on her. That only worked out for a year or so before I got tired of hitting the ground, and we discovered that she had a rare muscle disorder, and I wasn't able to ride her. This is where Hooker comes in. About a year before Mary Jane had her colt Buddy, Hooker had Rocky. I don't really know where to start with the story of Rocky and I. My grandpa had him in training with a couple by the name of Julie and J.J. Rydberg. When they realized how inexperienced of a rider I was, they took me under their wing. They ended up training me along with Rocky and eventually became my mentors as well as my second family. JJ told my grandpa when I started riding Rocky that we weren't supposed to be a good combination. You aren't supposed to take a green rider and a green horse. That isn't supposed to work, he said. A few months later, his opinion changed. He said, "You could wear out a truck looking for a horse that good for that girl." When we started, Rocky was young and testy, and I wasn't a very experienced rider. He would buck randomly and take off unexpectedly. Come to find out, that's one of his character traits. My first year really barrel racing was the same year we were introduced to high school rodeo, also my freshman year. High school rodeo has a rule that you can't take any longer than 60 seconds to get in the gate for barrels, and if you did, you got disqualified. Needless to say, we got disqualified a lot, and if he did go in the gate, he would run to the wrong side of second barrel. With a lot of help from Julie, we got the horse going in the gate. I'm not sure when it really happened that we clicked and became a successful team, but my sophomore year, running against the toughest high school girls in the state, I made it to high school national finals. They take 4 girls from 41 states, 4 provinces of Canada, and Australia. I went in the 4th position for Colorado and placed 28th. My junior year, I made it in the 1st position for the state of Colorado.
6:55 on 2. Got an 11-point cushion coming in here. Melanie Roman. Good corner on the first one. Nice corner on the second one. There. Well, 3 of them through. Exactly what she wanted. I'll tell you right now, she did it rapidly. 17:807.
My junior year, my 3rd year of barrel racing, and the year I won the state for barrel racing, was the hardest year of my life. My father had lived in Ohio for a few years because of his job and had suffered for many years from a drinking problem. After losing his job and months of searching for a new one, he found a good job that was going to allow him to visit Colorado more and eventually move back out here. He decided to quit drinking cold without any help, and it shocked his body so bad that it shut down his liver and his kidney. He spent several days in the hospital, and I did get to see him. His battle was headed uphill and he was breathing on his own. His kidney regained function and he was eating. April 9th, 2013, he passed away from internal bleeding. He fought his battle for so long, I truly believe he's in a better place. But I didn't know how to cope with it at the time. I still struggle with the fact that he won't see me graduate or go off to college. He was so proud of my riding and my drive, so I make every run with him in mind. He was an intelligent man and a very hard worker. I'm sure some of that got passed along, and I want to put it to test, so I decided to give college a shot. I guess you could say that he's my reason for going to college. The wonderful people I have met and all the good and bad experiences I have had have taught me so much about who I am and what I want to do in my future. I would love to train horses as well as get a degree so I have something to fall back on when riding isn't an option. With 2 years at Lamar Community College in the horse training program, I should have enough time to decide exactly what I want that degree to be. Rodeo has taught me respect, responsibility, and how to be a good competitor. These are skills to carry with me, and they will always come in handy. Rodeo is a very humbling sport, and through it I have learned that you can't win every time, and you never stop learning. My goal at this point is to continue to learn and absorb as much valuable information from anyone or anything that can teach me something. Sometimes it isn't only humans that can teach you life lessons. I put a lot into this. It doesn't feel like work to me. All the time and work I put into taking care of my horses is fun for me. I may get a little excessive at times. I probably don't need to buy or do half of the things I do for them, but it makes me feel good, like I'm helping them and strengthening my bond with them. I look forward to seeing them all day and spend most of my time worrying about what they are doing and how they are feeling. I am confident that this is God's plan for me. I never want